it's recording. Good. So, good evening to you all. This is Mr. Emmanuel Kadiri. I don't know, I'm fond of calling myself Mr. Maybe because I'm a teacher. This is Emmanuel Kadiri, Director of Emostel Academy. I welcome you all again to this evening class, and I trust you had a beautiful day. So, today we are going to touch a few things regarding the assignment I gave you, or a few things that can support the assignments I gave you earlier today in the material that I sent to the group. Okay, so without much story, let us jump in. And if you are excited to be here today, please let me hear a voice from you, or let me get a message from you in the chat if you're excited to be here today. I just want to know if there are some students listening to me. I want to know if you're alive. I mean, if you're excited to be here today, let me hear your
Yes, I'm
voice.
excited to be here, sir.
All right, Odifa, thank you. Let me hear your voice. Okay, good. Adidayo, great. I just want to be sure whether there are some people online with me. All right, let's kick off. So, one of the important things I'm going to touch tonight is to teach you some operators that are used, specifically the arithmetic operators used in Python programming. I know I have touched this part before in the previous notes. I also know that I explained it also in lesson one. So I want to go back to it now, this time around specifically with examples so that we can know how to make use of it. Also, I'm going to touch some other aspects too, which is called precedence in arithmetic operations. So because you're going to need it in the assignment I gave you. Let's just touch those aspects and see quickly how far we can go tonight. All right. So the very first arithmetic operator that arithmetic operators. The very first arithmetic operator you are going to treat tonight is the addition operator. So number one, we have the addition operator. You may want to jot. So addition operator. Now the addition operator is just the normal plus sign, the regular plus sign that you have is used for addition. Okay, so which means if you have something like 4 plus 5, okay, and then if you say print, let me say print 4 point plus 5, okay, normal plus plus, and then when you run the program you are going to get the result, which is 9. Okay, I don't know why this thing is delaying. Okay, good. So normal plus sign, then you get 9 as your result. Okay, so that is called the addition operator. Number two, we have the subtraction operator. Okay, and then so let's say we have example print 4 minus 5. I know it's going to give me a negative result, yes, but it's all part of it. Okay, so by the time we run the program, we're going to get -1, which is correct. So that is for subtraction. And then the third one, we have the multiplication operator. Multiplication operator is represented by asterisks. not by times, is by asterisk. Please take note of that. And so for the multiplication operator, you can have something like print. Okay, so you have 4 asterisk 5. Obviously, we know that the answer is going to be 20. By the time we run it, bingo, we got 20. Okay, so and that's that. And then we have number 5. This is just a revision of something we did like 2 classes ago. So number 4 um, number 4 is the exponentation operator. Okay, here we deal with some guys are joining the class. Okay, wow, more people are joining. Please hold on, let me add them up. If I don't add them, they cannot enter. Okay, all right, so
Thank you very much, sir.
yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so there we go. We have number 1, the addition operator, which is the regular plus. We have number 2, the subtraction operator, which is the regular minus. We have the number 3, the multiplication operator, which is the asterisk, not times but asterisk. So when we have 4 asterisk 5, you can even space it, it doesn't matter, it will still give you the same result. So by the time you run it, you're still going to get 20. Okay, so spacing is good for readability, so that your code can be clear. It's not good to just fuse all of them up, it looks very disorganized. So all right, so spacing is good whenever it is permitted, where it is permitted. Okay, now number 4, we have the exponentation operator. Okay, exponentation is represented by double asterisk, which is this double asterisk. Okay, so when you say print 4, I'm going to use something that we all know. So let's say we all know the answer of 2 raised to power 2. 2 raised to power 2 means 2 times 2. 2 raised to power 3 means 2 times 2 times 2. And that is 8. So let me use what we all know so that we can verify the results. So 2 raised to power 3, that will be double asterisk. Okay, so by the time you run the program, you're going to get the results as 8. So which means we are still on point, as you can see. So then we have the division operator, that's number 5. So we have the division operator, which is the normal forward slash. This is forward slash for revision. So when you have print 10 divided by 2, okay, you can space it, you can leave it like that, no problem. By the time you run the program, you're going to get 5.0. I told you before that whenever you use division in Python, the result is always a float. So whenever you divide in Python, the result is always a floating point number. Okay, so floating point numbers means a number that is, which it means decimal number. Okay, a number that has fractional parts is what we call a floating point number. When I say fractional part, I mean the decimal parts. Okay, that part with decimal points. All right, so that's it. And then after this, we also have a few others that I did not mention that day. Okay, I also showed you about the double division. Well, that's when you have double slash. So whenever you have the double slash, it's just going to round up the results. It is going to cut off the whole decimal part. So let's just show it. That's number 6. Number 6. I don't know the name to call this. Okay, let's just call it double slash operator. Double slash. So double forward slash operator, you know what it does? It rounds off the results. So let's say if we have print 5 double double 3, okay? So it is going to, 5 divided by 3 is going to give us decimal. But when you make it double, it's going to cut off all the decimal parts. It is not going to round off, it's just cut off the decimal parts and give us the result of the whole number alone. Okay, so let me just make it 7 like this, and then by the time you run it, of course, it's going to give us 2. Okay, it's only going to give us that number before the decimal. The number before the decimal is what it's going to give us. Ideally, if I did not make it double, if I make it single and I run the program, you're going to have this kind of result here. You're going to have this result here. But if I make it double, it's just going to cut off everything here, to cut it off and only put the answer 2. So it will only put 2. Even if it's something that can be rounded off. For instance, if you do maybe 7 divided by 5 or something, if you run 7 divided by 5, okay, let me do like this: 7 divided by 6, 7 divided by 6, and you run it, okay, and then I'm trying to look for a number that can be rounded off, just to show you that the guy will not even bother approximating. It will not approximate it. It will just cut off everything from here downwards and then give you only the result. So which means if I double it like this and I run it, the answer is 1, just 1. And that's how it works. Okay? There are some aspects of programming where this is very essential, where you will need this kind of operator. You understand? Until you get there, you may not really understand yet where to apply it, but it is applicable in some aspects, which doesn't even have to do with calculation itself. You understand? So, but as we grow, you are going to, get to understand this. Okay, so let's move on. We have number 7. Number 7 is yeah, good. This number 7 is called oh God, what's the name of this thing again? Modulus. Okay, modulus operator. So modulus is just represented by division and by percentage. All right. So now what this modulus does is similar to what this double slash does. You understand? So modulus is just but in a different way, similar to it, but in a different way. Okay. So what it does in its own case is that by the time it divides two numbers, it is just going to keep the remainder. You understand? So this one, what this one does is that this one cuts off the fractional parts and keeps only the number before the decimal points. That's what this one does. Okay, but this one, in its own case, what it does is that it divides two numbers and returns, that is, it outputs it returns the remainder. It outputs the remainder. All right. So which means what we expect in this case is that we expect it to divide two numbers and only put the remainder. So which means if you have something like 7 modulo 6. So 7 modulo 6, for instance, by the time you run it, it's going to give you 1. You know why? Because 7 divided by 6 is one whole number and blah 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 blah. So what it does is um, when 7 divides
Mhm.
6, who is that? Excuse me, let me see who is talking. Okay, so back to what we were doing. Um, excuse me. Okay, so when you say 7 modulo 6, you are going to get 1 as the answer. Okay, because by the time 7 becomes divided by 6, we have remainder 1. That is, 6 can go in 7 one time and to remain 1. Okay, for instance, let's have another example for clarity. When you have print 10 divided by 3, all right, 10, oh sorry, 10 modulus 3, 10 can go in, that 3 can divide 10 3 times, it will remain 1, right? So what if I say 11, excuse me, 11 divided by 3, by the time you run the program, so you're going to have 2, all right? So because by the time 3 divides 11, 3 will divide 11 up to 3 times, that's 9, 3 times 3, 9, then it will remain 2, okay? So it remains 2, that is 3 remainder 2. That 2 that remains is what this modulus will return. That is what it will give us as an output. I believe you are getting it. So as another example, let me ask the class, if I say print 15 modulus 2, 15 modulus 2, okay, 15 modulus 4, what do you think 15 modulus 4 will give us? Before I run the code, who can give me the answer for 15 modulus 4?
Modulus
Answer is 3.
3. 3, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. 3 is
Yes,
correct.
sir.
Good. So by the time you run it, you are going to get 3 trillion. So that is how it works. Okay, so that's for modulus. So these are the basic um, arithmetic operators that we have. Okay, these are the basic arithmetic operators that we have. We have the addition operator, subtraction, we have multiplication, exponentation, we have the division, okay, and then we have the double slash, we have the modulus operator. So these are the basic um, operators, the basic numeric operators that we have in Python. So now, having taught you all of that, I want to explain something else. There is something we call precedence. That is operator precedence. Operator precedence. Now, operator precedence is just like the regular board mass that we all know. You know what board mass means? Bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So that's the regular board mass. So um, that is what we know. Okay, so which means that whenever you have this thing, a brackets, or you have multiplication, and you have something, this just tells you the order of arrangement of your code, you understand, of your calculation rather. So which means if you have a situation like this, um, a situation like this, if I say x is equal to x is equal to 2 plus 5 asterisk 3, then um, and then I say divided by 2. So who can give me the answer of this? In this case now, we have plus, we have multiplication, we have addition, we have multiplication, we have division, and we have brackets. So which one do you think we are going to do? How do you think we are going to get the answer for x? If I say print x. So how do you think I'm going to get this answer?
Mm, you start with the multiplication as well. The
Okay.
ones in the brackets.
Okay. So you think we should start with the one in the bracket, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So which means mathematically the very first thing you do is to resolve what is in the bracket first. By the time you resolve what is in the bracket first, you cannot start checking other things. But now, inside the brackets, we now,
Sir, please kindly come again, sir.
in mathematics, we resolve anything that is in the bracket first before we start doing anything else. You understand? So, because the law says we should resolve bracket first, then off is like when you say half of something, 1/4 of something. So, but we don't have off in this programming now, so that one is gone. So, but let me put it this way: BD mass. Okay. So we have division. So Python says that whenever we have brackets, we should resolve the bracket first. After resolving everything in the brackets, the next thing we now do is what? Is if we see division, we should go for division. If we see multiplication, then we go for multiplication afterwards. Then if we see addition, we go for addition, and before we go for subtraction. So that is how it goes. So this is the order of precedence. That is, this one, the bracket precedes division, division precedes multiplication, multiplication precedes addition, addition precedes subtraction when you are performing mathematics operation. So I'm still going to give you more examples, okay? So, but let's play with this one first. So as a programming student, you can use your eyes to estimate the possible results. So first we start with the brackets. Now looking into the brackets, we now have another thing again in the brackets. So, but from the other thing we have in the brackets, which one should come first? Is it addition we should do first, or we should do multiplication first?
The multiplication first.
Okay,
And
so
get the
according to this board mass, multiplication comes before addition. So which means we should resolve this multiplication first. So by the time we resolve this multiplication first, we are going to be having 5 times 3, which is what? 15. Then the next thing is that we now resolve what? Addition. So we now say, okay, this result that we got here, which is 15, by the time we add it to 3, it becomes 16, 17, 18, it becomes 18. Now, by that time, the bracket is now resolved. So after the bracket is now resolved, because you have gotten all the answer in the bracket, which is 18, so the bracket can then be removed because there is nothing to do again. Then that is when you now do what we call division. So division by 2. So when you say 18 divided by 2, the answer is going to be 9. So by the time we print x, so let's see what is going to happen. We expect result 9. So let's see what happens. All right, so the answer is 9. All right, so that is how it goes. So Python also obeys the mathematics rule of board mass. So it is obeyed also in Python. All right, now let me just have another example with you guys. What if I say something like y is equal to 3 plus 3 plus 5 3 plus 10 divided by 2, okay, and then we have something like okay, for you to even know, nice one, for you to even know that this thing is very essential. If I move the brackets to the front and I say, if I move it to the front and I say something like, okay, and say 5 asterisk, that's 5 times 3, okay, and divided by 2, and I close the brackets, okay. So look at this. I'm still using the same 3, 5, 3, 2. I'm still using the same operator, plus, asterisk, division. I'm still using everything the same. The only thing is that I shifted the decimal, I shifted the bracket to the front. Okay? I shifted it to the front after plus. See what is going to happen. We are going to get we are going to get, where is it? This is showing the previous results. Okay, I've not run it yet. We are going to get a completely different result. Okay, sorry, I've not initiated the print statement. So I'm going to say print y. All right, so by the time we run it, I'm going to get something entirely different, which is 10.5. I use the same set of numbers, the same set of operators. Everything is the same. Okay, I only shifted the bracket to the front. Then you see the answer I got. So which shows you that the rule is very important, because everything, the meaning of everything will begin to change, rule after rule. If you look at this thing now, position after position. Okay, for instance, now if you see this, the rule says we should resolve the bracket first. So let us try to resolve the bracket. When we resolve the brackets, inside the brackets we have multiplication and division. So according to the BODMAS, we do the division first. Okay, according to the BODMAS, division comes before multiplication. So we are going to answer this one first, which is 3 divided by 2. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Okay, so 3 divided by 2 being 1.5, we now do multiplication after. So we now say 1.5 multiplied by 5. So when you say 1.5 multiplied by 5, the result you now got is what you now add to 3. So 1.5 multiplied by 5 is going to give you 7.5. So 7.5 added to 3 is what will give you 10.5. Do you understand it now? So that is how it does. So if you want something to be done first, the lesson you should learn here is that if you want anything to be done first, you keep it in a bracket. When it comes to when it has to do with mathematical arithmetic operations in coding. Do you understand? So that's how it goes. I don't want us to waste time because I'm not teaching babies. I understand that we all know these things. I think they are basic mathematics knowledge. It's just that you need to just know how to apply them. All right. Now, that takes me to the third part of today's class. How do you round off numbers? How do you round off numbers so that it's going to give you the approximate values and all of that according to how you want it? Because if you notice very well, the assignment I gave you, I told you that you should present the results in 2 decimal place. I don't know if you have read the material. I don't know if any of you have read the material. Do you understand? So, but if you read the material and you try to practice it and all that, I ask you guys I gave you an assignment on simple interest. So who is here today that does not know the formula for simple interest? Who among you is here today? You don't know the formula for simple interest, or probably you have forgotten how to calculate simple interest. Is there anybody here like that?
Aye, sir.
Okay. Now, this is how to go about simple interest. Excuse me. Simple interest. Now, if you want to calculate simple interest, the simple interest formula says I, which is the interest is equal to principal, okay, times rates times time. Principal times rates times time. I actually didn't want to go this way. I should have actually used something else as an example because I want you to think deep to solve that question. It's very easy. It's very, very easy, but because you're not familiar to it, it might be tasking to you. You might get hooked and you don't even know what to do. So, all right, but anyhow, so it's fine. I will still give you other assignments. So I'm going to use small letter because I'm dealing with programming. Capital letter is not good for representing variables. So, but in Python programming or in mathematics, simple interest is equal to principal times rates times time. Everything over 100. You can decide to keep it in brackets, no problem, so that you know that it is everything that is divided by 100. The principal times the rates times the time, everything divided by 100. Okay, so please, you should take notes that I represents the simple interest. I represent the simple interest, and you should also take notes that P represents the rates. What do we mean by rates? The simple interest is the total number of the total amount of money that we claim the money that you borrowed. For instance, if you borrowed 1,000 naira, if you borrowed 1,000 naira from a bank, and they said, okay, this money we want to borrow you, okay, the percentage we are going to the 10% of this money is what you pay back every year. That is, you return 10% interest every year. So which means that I borrowed 1,000 naira. 10% of 1,000 naira is 100 naira. So which means that every single year 100 naira will be claiming the original money that I borrowed because of the rates, the interest rates. Do you understand it now? So R is called the rates. So which means if I want to return the money after 2 years, 200 naira would have claimed it. So I borrowed 1,000, then 2 years later I will be returning 1,200. That is what it means. I borrowed 1,000 naira at the rate of 10% per year or per annum. Annum means year. So if I borrowed 1,000 naira at the rate of 10% per annum, then it means that every year 100 naira will be claiming the money. So after 2 years, 200 naira would have claimed the money. It means that my interest, my simple interest, is 200 naira after 2 years. So which means the total money I am returning is going to be the simple interest plus the original amount that I borrowed, and that is going to be 1,200. Do you understand it now? So the formula for calculating simple interest is principal rates times time. Now, where R is the rates, that is the interest rates. Okay, sorry, P is the principal. Then we have R is the interest rates. R is the interest rates, and then we have T. We have T, which is equal to the time. The time, that is the number of years, or the number or the period for the loan or whatever. It does not work for only loan. It also works for fixed deposits. If I deposit money in the bank, and the bank tells me that, okay, any amount I deposit with them, it will be growing 15% every year. It means that if I put 1,000 naira there, 15% of 1,000 naira, that's 150 naira, will be claiming my money every year because I left my money with them. They are using my money to do business. So it is still the same formula you use to calculate it. So the other one is compound interest. We are not going there, but I think the next assignment I'm going to give you is going to be based on compound interest. Since I am already solving this one for you, so the next assignment I will give you will be based on compound interest. That is more complex. I think that is where we enjoy we enjoy watching your blunder. That is if you make one. You understand? So, all right. So, which means P is the principal, which is the original amount that you borrowed or the original amount you deposited. That's the principal. The original amount borrowed. That's the principal. Then the interest rates is the percentage of that money that will be climbing the money every year. Time is the number of years that you use to borrow the money. Maybe you borrow the money for 2 years, and you borrow the money for 3 years, and all that. Why I is the simple interest. Okay, so which means the total amount of money that we claim it after the certain number of years. So if you have this one now, for instance, you have this PRT. So let me say I borrowed. So let me have an example. Let's say let's say I borrowed I borrowed I borrowed 1,000 naira. Just a simple example. I borrowed 1,000 naira, and then I I borrowed it at the rate of 10% per year, and I borrowed that money, and I owe that money for 2 years, and I owe the money for 2 years. I borrowed 1,000 naira, okay, at the rate of 10% per year, and I owe that money for 2 years, okay. So let me do it this way. Let me first hashtag it. So let's have an example. Let me make it example. Ken kept a sum of $1,000. He kept a sum of $1,000 in the bank for 3 years at the rate of at the interest rates of 10% per annum. Ken kept a sum of 1,000 naira in the bank for 3 years at the rate of 10% per annum. Calculate use Python to estimate the total amount E will return after at the closing of the deposits. Use Python to estimate the total amount it will return at the closing of the deposit. That is when he feels that, okay, I want to close my accounts, I want to close my fixed deposits. I have kept money with you guys for 3 years, and I want to withdraw everything. How much will he withdraw after 3 years? Okay. Oh, how much you will withdraw? Okay, so use Python to estimate the total amount it will withdraw at the closing of the deposit. Let me put it like this. After okay, good. So Ken kept a sum of $1,000 in the bank at the interest rate of 10% per annum. So use Python to estimate the total amount he will withdraw after 3 years. Okay. So the key to answer this question is that we are first going to find the interest. When we know the simple interest, we will now add the simple interest to the principal. That is going to be the total amount he will withdraw. Okay. So the very first step is to find the simple interest. Solution number 1, you find the simple interest, and then when you know the simple interest, the next thing you do is that you will add the simple interest to the principal. To know the total amount. All right, so this is how we are going to do it. So we add the simple interest to the principal to know the total amount as required. Or let me say the total amount he will withdraw. So we find the simple interest for 3 years. Okay, all right, so good. So these are the steps you are going to take to get the answer. All right, so let's follow the step now. So I have to close up this thing. I have to close it up. So the next line code is starting. So from all that we have seen so far, I need one person to answer me. I want to start assigning variables. So what is the value? Okay, sorry. What is the rate, please? What is the principal, please? Somebody, please tell me what the principal is. We are almost done. I said we are going to be using 1 hour. So this is 8:53.
$1,000.
Okay, good. So yeah, now that's $1,000. That $1,000 that you just mentioned, all right, for the principal, is correct. Okay. So how am I going to type it? Can you just show me how I'm going to type it? Please put it in the message box. Write it as a message. How am I going to type the $1,000? That will not cause trouble.
In string. $1,000 in string. Um,
No,
quoted.
just don't worry. Just type it. Type it in the text box, and let me see how if you were the one writing this program, how would you have written $1,000? Because we want to assign it to variable P, which is the principal. So how do we do that? Okay, nobody is typing anything yet. Okay, okay, I have been explaining since. I did not even check your questions. I think somebody said, sorry for dragging you back. Can you explain modulus again? Okay, let me see. Okay, somebody shared the screen, right? And the sharing has stopped. Okay, yeah, B to B, B to Z, that's Buzuzu. Okay, you said you're going to put the 1,000 in brackets. Odunfa said you put $1,000 in bracket. All right, I'm having fun. Okay, now this is how it's going to be. All right, it's not bad, it's good you tried, but then it's not really correct. Okay, so this is it. This is what you're going to do. Oh, Glory Chinaza said 1,000 in quotes. Nah, you're almost there. I want you to first understand something. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. And I did not even remember to put another condition. Please, I'm putting one more condition. Present your results in 2 decimal place. Make your results to be in 2 decimal place, okay? Okay, so I want you to realize first and foremost, realize that 1,000 we are talking about is an integer. 1,000 is an integer. So because 1,000 is an integer, you write it as 1,000. Finish. No quotes, no comma, nothing. Oh, there is no screen. Sorry. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, as I was saying, as I said earlier, 1,000 is 1,000. Please, 1,000 is 1,000. So you don't put quotes, you don't put comma, because 1,000 is a numeric value. Like I taught you on Monday, numeric values don't need anything. You don't need anything around. Just write them and that is all. Write them the way they are. It is when you want to represent string, that is when you want to represent non-numeric values, values that are not numbers. It is when you want to represent those non-numeric values, okay? That is when you represent them as string. And that is when you put quotes around it. So which means if I want to say something like this, maybe my name, if I want to say name is Ima, you understand? And Buzuzu, don't worry, I will explain the modulus later after this, if you still don't understand it yet. But if you think you already understood it now, you can let me know that you've understood. Okay, so now because Ima is not a number, then I can put quotes around it. I can also put quotes around a number if I want to convert the number to string. I can say name. I can say name 2 or something, or I can say maybe code. I can say code is equal to 2. I can do this. It's also allowed, no problem. You can convert a number to a string. So from this point, it begins to behave like it begins to behave like a string. So if I have something like face, for instance, and I want to concatenate, you understand? I can say print code plus name. I can say print code plus name. The plus that you are seeing here is not plus of addition. The plus that I wrote here is plot of concatenation. When you are dealing with strings, plus will change its behavior. Plus will no longer behave as addition anymore. When you are dealing with two strings, plus will not be acting as addition. Rather, it will be acting as concatenation, which means that it is going to join the two strings together to become one. So by the time you run this program now, by the time you run it, it's going to give you two face. Okay, sorry. It says P is not. Yeah. It's complaining about the formula that I wrote, that I've not put anything in place of P. So let me just let me comment out all of this, please. Let me comment the entire code. Let me just comment it out, the entire code. Okay. So comment out the entire code. Sorry. Okay, so I've commented the entire code, so it shouldn't give us issues again. So now let's come back to this place. When I say, if I say name is face, code is 2, and I say print code name, if I say print code name, it means I want it to join 2 and face together. Instead of me using the values, I use the variable. It will work. If you like, use the values too, it will still work. So when you run it, you're going to have two face. You're going to have two face because it will join 2 as a string to face as a string. Remember, I told you that it doesn't matter whether you use a single quote or a double quote, it will still work. It will still work as string. It will still work normal. It doesn't matter. So now if I change it the other way around and I say print name plus code, and I say print name plus code, if I run it, I'm going to have phase 2. The idea is just that it joins the two strings together to become one. That is string concatenation. But that can only happen when the two of them are strings. And 2 is able to carry out this job with face because I have converted it from a number to a string. So from this line 46, 2 is no longer, from this line 46, 2 is no longer a number. It now begins to behave like a string. You understand it now? So it's not really acting as a number, not like no longer a number, but it's acting now as a string. Do you understand it now? So if I even decide to put everything like I said print 2 print 2 plus face, no problem, it will still work. If I run it, I'm still going to have two face. So whether I use the variables or I use the values, it will still work the same. Do you understand it now? So it's just for you to know what you're doing, and that's that as per that. Okay, so I'm taking this one out because it's not part of it. I just explained. Okay. Okay, so let's get back to our code. The question says Ken kept a sum of $1,000 in the bank at the interest rate of 10% per annum. Use Python to estimate the total amount he will withdraw after 3 years. So the two steps to find our answer is that we should first find the simple interest for 3 years. Then we should add the simple interest to the principal, which is the original amount he deposited. Then to now know the total amount he will withdraw. So I am using small numbers so that we can be able to we can confirm our results from what we also knew normally. You and I know that 10% per annum, 10% of 1,000 is 100. So per annum, it means 100 naira every year. For 3 years, that's 300 naira. So when we add 300 to 1,000, we are going to get 1,003, which means the guy is going to withdraw 1,300 at the end of 3 years. So that's what we are trying to say. But we want to use Python to prove whether we want to use Python to to give the same results. So what we do now is that we say P is equal to 1,000, and then we say R, which is the interest rate, is 10. Please, you are not going to add the percents to it. Leave 1,000 as 1,000. Leave 10 as 10. You are dealing with the values, okay? You are dealing with the numbers. You are not dealing with anything else. You are dealing with the numbers because Python is going to carry out calculation on the numbers. It's just like when you want to press your normal calculator. It's just like pressing your regular calculator. It's not that you want to say you go to a shop now. You say or you are working in a shop and somebody wants to buy something for you. Maybe the person bought 3 items and the first item cost 10,000 naira. The other item costs 5,000 naira. Are you going to start writing naira in the calculator? No. The only thing you write in the calculator is just the number, which is 1,000 plus 10,000 plus 30,000. That's how you do it. It's exactly the way you would have done it with a normal calculator. That is exactly how you are going to do it in the programming too. No difference. Do you understand it now? So you do it as if you are punching in the numbers in the calculator, because ideally Python is also a calculator, a very excellent calculator. So we have P is equal to 1,000, R is equal to 10, and then we have T is equal to 3, which is the number of years. That's 3 years. All right. So then the next thing you now do is to apply this formula of simple interest, which we wrote earlier by saying simple interest I is equal to PRT over 100. So we apply it here. Okay. So, or you apply it, is better still, it's better you apply it after. You apply it after. So you have this. Okay. So that Python would have come across P, R, and T before it gets to this place. If you put it at the top, it may not work. You know why? Because as at that line, Python has not come across P before. It has not come across R. It will tell you that P is undefined, R is undefined, T is undefined. That's what it will tell you. But because you have defined it earlier, by the time you now include it in the formula, then it will work. Because when Python is looking for P, it knows that P is 100. It has been earlier defined as 1,000. Sorry. So it has been earlier defined as 1,000. If Python is looking for R, it knows that it is 10 because it has been earlier defined. And if Python is looking for T, it knows that it is 3 because you have earlier defined T as 3. Do you understand it now? So that's how it goes. So now Python has enough values to work with, and then it's just going to give you the answer. So let's say we want to know the answer first. We want to know the interest first. You can just say print I, and by the time you run it, we all know the answer, that is going to be 300. So let's see how it works. 300 is correct. Do you understand it now? So 300 is correct. Now, we have another challenge here. Another challenge is the challenge number 3 is find a way to make the results come out in what? In two decimal place. We have to find a way to make the result come out in 2 decimal place, and so we are going to work on that as well. So when you say print I, okay, we got 300, but it's in 1 decimal place, and even that 1 decimal self, it is Python that put it there by himself, because anytime you are dividing in Python, the result always comes out as decimal, unless you do something to it. So that's something that you should do to it, is what I'm going to do to it. But I want to first do the whole thing first. Let me just do the whole calculation first. So we know, okay. So, but instead of saying print I, the question did not ask us to find the interest. Rather, the question asks us to find the amount that the person is going to withdraw. So, amount to withdraw, let's say A, which is the amount to withdraw. Okay, let me just put it in this thing. Let A be the amount to withdraw. So if we make A to be the amount to withdraw, so it means that we are going to have A. Please take note that the Python is not going to run this code because it is a comment. It's not going to run it, it's a comment. So for me to tell Python to ignore it, that ignore these things, my personal notes, that's why I put this hashtag. I've taught you all these things before. So for Python to just ignore it, so you put the hashtag, because the hashtag represents comments. So this one is also a comment. This three quotes, when you put 3 quotes up and 3 quotes down, it's also a comment. But in its own case, it is called a multi-line comment. It is used when you want to comment multiple lines. But this one is used when you want to comment only a single line. That's when you use this one. So please take note of that. All right. So now back to the class. So we have A is equal to PRT over 100. Okay, sorry, I is equal to PRT over 100. So we have already known, and we have defined I. So the next thing for us to just do is to say A is going to be equal to the principal plus A plus I, sorry, the principal plus I. Okay, A is going to be equal to the principal plus I. Since you already know that principal is the original amount, then I is the interest. So the interest gathered after 3 years is 300. You add it to the original amount you deposited, which is 1,000, to get the result for the total amount. So A is going to be equal to P plus I. So you for you to check whether you're going to get the correct answer, you can say print A. So by the time you run it, obviously you're going to get 1,300, which is correct. But now the next task is, so which means, fine, we have been able to clear the first part, which means we have been able to know the answer for the simple interest for 3 years. The next thing is that we derived the formula for the simple interest for 3 years, which is I equals to PRT over 100, and we have already put all these things there, so that one is settled. Then we have also been able to add the simple interest to the principal. That one is also settled. Now the third task is, how do we make the result to come out in 2 decimal place? How do we make the result to come out in 2 decimal place as demanded by the question? So what we are going to do in that case, so we are going to use that stuff I taught you in the notes. I know many of you have not read that notes, and because you have not read the notes, I would have to explain a few things again. Okay, please, if you have read the note I sent this morning, let me see your hands up. Let me get a hi from you. You can drop a message in the text if you know you have read that note that I posted earlier today, for you to study ahead and answer the question that follows. If you know you have read the notes, you have studied the notes, please let me see your hands up. Or let me just get a text from you. I'm waiting. Okay, nobody. None of you. It's fine. I would forgive you because the note was sent around 12 or thereabout. Okay. Okay, and possibly many of you are at work and all that. So I will give you this night to study it and then give me a response. You read the first 2 pages. Sorry, I only went through the video. All right, no problem. It's fine. Let's quickly just go into it. I will have to explain, which means this class will eventually extend for another 30 minutes, possibly. Possibly. Because it's on, unless you understood that. Okay, let me just do it. Then let me just do it for the sake of this question. All right, in order to do that thing that the question demands, okay, you can just use the let me use the placeholder formatting. If you want to present that answer, instead of just saying print A, okay, you can say print, you open a bracket, and say the simple, okay, sorry, the total amount he withdraws after 3 years is, then you put you can keep this one inside the quotes. The total amount he withdraws after 3 years is A. So ideally, if you run the program like this, it's going to just like let me say um, a more why is this English giving me a problem like this now? I don't know what's wrong with me this evening. I'm finding it difficult to speak English. Can you imagine? So this makes it a more interactive way of presenting your answer. So if you run this program, okay, I need a comma there. I need a comma. Yes, it's going to give me error. So I need a comma here. If you need to separate the string from the variable. So by the time you run the program, it's going to say the total amount it withdraws after 3 years is 1300. So, okay. So now, in this case, I can use a placeholder. I can use a placeholder. The placeholder that is used to represent a floating point number is given as percentage %f. Percentage %f is used to represent a floating point number. I know you may not understand this if since you have not read the notes, so I have to teach you the topic all over. So that's what's going to happen. So percentage %f is used to represent a floating point number. Okay, floating point number means a decimal number. All right, and then you now write percentage. You write another percentage, and then you open a bracket, and you put that A inside the bracket. Okay, so this is how you're going to do it. Then this percentage %f, because you want it to be in 2 decimal place, you write 0.2. You write 0.2. So when you say the total amount it withdraws after 3 years is percentage %f, percentage 0.2f, okay, and then you write percentage A there, okay. So what I am trying to say now is that this is a placeholder holding a position for the variable, which is variable A. Now, this is not holding a position alone. It is not just holding a position, okay, but it is also formatting. It's also formatting the variable, the value in the variable. So when I put 0.2f, what I am trying to tell Python is that this floating point number that this placeholder is representing, round it off to 2 decimal place, or present the answer in 2 decimal place. This floating point number that this placeholder is representing, okay, the floating point number that the placeholder is representing, round it off to 2 decimal place. That is what I'm telling Python. Do you understand? So that is how it's going to be. Now, if you run this program, if you run it now, you're going to get something like, let's run it. Okay. Oh, sorry again. Okay. So So by the time we run the program, it's going to give us the total amount that we expected, or it's going to give us the value that we expected. But then I want to further customize it. Okay, so further customizing it, I could do something like this. Um, I want it to appear properly the way I want it. But I believe you can see now that it's already in two decimal place because I have told Python to format it to two decimal place, to format the floating point number to two decimal place. This percentage that you are seeing here is called is an operator as well that is used as a placeholder in this print statement. But please, you cover everything with a quote, make everything to be complete string, everything from complete string from beginning to the end. Okay, then outside the string, that is after you have finished closing up the string, you now write the percentage again, and then you put the variable inside brackets, that is the variable that you are trying to reference. So what Python will do is that it will just pick that floating point variable, convert it to two decimal place in the presentation of the results. So the part that is going to appear in the result is this part. This other part is not going to appear. It is only there for the sake of formatting. It is just there so that Python can use this function here, this placeholder here, to format the content of the variable a. You understand, to what we want. Imagine that if I did not put it like that, if I just say percentage %f, okay, and I run the program, I'm going to get this kind of result. You see, because this is how Python represents a floating point number by default. It uses 6 zeros to represent it, like in 6 decimal place. But because I want to indicate the actual number of decimal place, I will tell Python that, guy, come, please do it for me in 2 decimal place, and I'll say 0.2. And by the time I run it, I'm going to get the result only in 2 decimal place. I believe you've understood that. So, so I will say the total amount it withdraws after 3 years. Then I can also put dollars there, no problem. I can put dollars there, it's still allowed, it's still a string. So by the time I run it, it's still going to give me the result saying the total amount it withdraws after 3 years is $1,300. You understand? So that is how it works. Do you have any question, or is there anything that is not clear to you in this thing that we just did? Anything that is not clear to you? Can I proceed now? Do you permit me to proceed? Do you permit me to proceed? How many people are online?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. You can go on. You can go on, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, good. All right, so which shows that you understood everything that happened. All right, so
We understood the explanation, but we really need to go to restudy it to stick.
all right, yeah, you need to do that. I'm going to save all this
The
code.
explanation is very, very concise.
Okay, good.
The one,
Okay.
yeah.
Adedayo Daniel says he's a bit lost. Okay, he said he's a bit lost, but you have to indicate the area where you got lost, because I don't know. You have to indicate where you got lost. So I cannot just start explaining everything all over from the beginning. You understand? So
Okay, so initially I was lost as to why you were using a string after the print statement. I was wondering why you're using a string, but then I got to realize that it was because you wanted the answer to be in a sentence, like in a statement. That was
yes.
why you use that string. But then I don't really understand the what's it called? The print holder thing. I don't really
Yeah,
understand it like
you
that.
may not understand the
It's a bit
placeholder
confusing
because
to
you
me.
did not read the note I sent. That's why. We understand, but I quite understand that all of you could be busy during the day, and so please, after this class, make sure you read the notes. But then, I just want to throw the task to you. So what I want you to do now is, all of you go back and read the notes, and then come back to tell me the area in the notes that you don't get clear. So I'm sure by the time you read the notes, you will understand everything that's happened here. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me. I'm tempted to start
All right, sir.
explaining. Okay. You know what's gonna happen? So I'm going to send the code of this class. This one now. I'm going to send the code. Okay. Please, if you want to study it on your own, you can remove the. You can remove the. You can remove the this thing, the comments, to see, to activate the every part of the code that you need. You know how to do that. Just remove the comments, whether the so you remove the comments and then you can activate any part of this. So I'm sending it to the group now because I want to clear the screen so that I can explain everything in that note to you. Okay. So and then also I want you to see that if I did not put if I don't want to put this thing, I just want to present the answer in two decimal place, it will still, you know, I can just still put it in quotes and I do it this way. And then, it just look very dull. If I run the code, okay, fine, I will get the answer. But, the answer is not interactive. It's not something that, okay, just say $1,300 and that is all. You see that? So it is good to just like include the interaction in the results so that it looks,
More comprehensive.
yes, it looks comprehensive, it looks interesting. Do you understand it now? So when you put it this way, anybody that sees your result understands what's transpired to produce that result. Do you understand? So by the time you put it this way and you run the code, it's better presented this way. The total amount it withdraws after 3 years is 1,000. It's nice. And then you can put the dollar there. I think I removed it by mistake. You can put the dollar there and then it's better that way and everything works fine. You understand? So the total amount it withdraws after 3 years is $1,300 and we're all good. Okay? So that's how it goes. All right, I'm going to explain the note to you. So when you read the note again, now it will further enhance your understanding. So, but before I do that, let me just send this. Let me send this one. Let me share it. All right, so that is how it goes. I've set the code. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to wipe these out because I think I need to move on to the next thing. Okay, so let me just quickly explain the placeholder of a thing to you so you can have an idea of what it's all about. Okay, so excuse me a bit. Someone is chatting with me. Excuse me. I'm attending to an urgent chat. Just Okay. All right. Who received the message I sent today? Please just copy and paste the message into the group for this person to join the class. I think there is a newcomer and the person does not have the link to join the class. Please let someone help me post the link to the person, to the group, so that. Okay. All right, so shall we proceed now? I asked someone to help me with the link. Don't worry, I think I've done it on my phone here. My phone is still loading. Okay. All right, so let's quickly proceed. I did not intend this class to be this long, but it's fine. All right, let's quickly move on. Now, we're talking about placeholders. To make use of placeholders, I actually, they help us in string formatting. They help us. I will just brush through. So the process of the use of placeholder is very important in Python programming and in the presentation of your values. Okay. So if you want to if you want to use them, it is very simple. It's very simple. It may look so difficult, but please just follow me step by step. Follow me gradually, and then I'm sure you get to understand everything eventually. Okay? Please remember that, okay, method one, there are three methods actually, depending on the situation you find yourself, and because they all have their shortcomings and at their advantage. So, but you have to learn everything so that you'll be able to know. You have to learn everything so that you'll be able to know where. Father, please, I keep on muting your mic and you unmute it again. Please,
Okay.
let me mute it so that it's only when you need to talk that you will unmute it. Because everything happening in your background, in your room, we are getting it, we are receiving it here. Okay, all right, so let me just do a quick explanation of everything in that PDF stuff that I sent to you, and then we call it a day. Okay, all right, so now method number one is the use of the percentage operator. The use of the percentage operator is method number one. So how do you do about that? Please remember that, please take note that percentage percentage s is used for strings. Take notes, percentage s is used for strings, and then percentage d is used for integers, and percentage sd and f is used for floats. So it's used for floating point numbers. Okay, please take note of that. So which means if I have let's have this example. If I say age is equal to 60, and I say name is equal to Ima, and I say amount, if I say amount is equal to, if I say amount is equal to let me say amount is equal to 5,000. Let me just say 50.2345 or something like that. Okay. Okay. Let me just say 50.2325, whatever. Okay. So now I have these three things, and I want to use. Maybe I just want to use it. I want to express. I want to represent them in a variable, in a print statement. I can say print. I can just say print, and then when I say print, I will say Mr. You know, I'm supposed to say Mr. Ima. Let me say I'm trying to say Mr. Ima is 60 years old and has $50.25 million in his accounts. Okay, maybe I want to represent something like this. Okay, this is my intention. This is what the kind of output I actually intend to generate. Okay, now I'm going to note these variables. I'm just trying to achieve this kind of outputs, but the question or the task has given me all these kind of variables. Now if I want to include the variables in the print statement easily, so that, and in a way that it will not give me problem, all I just need to do is that, you know, age is 60, right? I can say, instead of writing age 60, I can put percentage, like a placeholder. I'm holding that place for that value, for that variable. Because 60 is an integer, I'm going to say percentage D, which is integer. D is used for integers. Okay, now you open a bracket after these quotes, open another bracket after these quotes, put a percentage in front of the brackets, and inside the quotes represent the integer there, which is age. You put comma. What is the next thing I'm trying to represent here? 50.25, which is the amount, Abi. I can remove it. Instead of writing 50.25, I will say, you know, 50.25 is a float, which means because it's a decimal, then I can say percentage D, okay, sorry, percentage F, sorry, let me say it's 50.25, blah blah blah. I'll say percentage F, okay, $1 million in his account, no problem. And then if I say what else again? Okay, because okay, I can put, oh sorry, I did not change IMA. This IMA that is here, I will just put percentage. You can tell me percentage what I'm going to put here. If you are following me, percentage, what am I going to put here? To be a placeholder for IMA.
S.
S is perfect. So you put percentage S because S stands for strings. And IMA is a string. IMA is a string. That's why it's in quotes. S stands for string. So IMA is string. Alright? So D stands for integer. And that is why we use it to represent the age. So IMA, which is name, we can put it here, name, comma, because percentage S comes first, which is a string. So the string variable will come first in that bracket. Also, percentage D comes next, which is an integer. Therefore, integer variable follows, which is the age. Okay? And then percentage F is the last one, which is a float, that is a decimal. So therefore, the decimal variable follows, and then you put amount. You put amount there, and that is all. So by the time you do that, let me wipe this one out, we don't need it. Okay, so everything we need is represented. Now you can run the program, and then it is going to give you just that perfect answer. So, which Mr. Ima is 60 years old and has blah 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 $1 million in his account. You understand? So which means that we use these things as placeholder. Placeholder means that they are representing a variable. They are holding a place for the variables. But we must put something that will help Python to understand the kind of variable they are holding. That is the reason why we have to put S to let Python know that this is a string variable. This is holding a place for a string variable. This one is holding a place for an integer variable. While this one is holding a place for a float variable. We must indicate to Python the kind of variable that we are holding a place for. And that is the reason for the percentage %s, percentage %d, and percentage %f. Apart from that, you must also be able to represent everything accordingly, which means when I say accordingly, it means since a string variable came first, you put the variable there too. You just put them in the order of appearance, just the way you want them to appear in the final result. The way you put the placeholder is also the way their respective variables will follow each other in the tuple. This internal bracket is called a tuple. You understand it now? So you put percentage outside the tuple, then you put all those things inside, and then separate each of them with a comma. And it's going to give you the perfect answer, which means that name will go inside this one, age will go inside this one, and amount will go inside this one, and then you have your results. So if I now want to format this amount, I want it to come out in 2 decimal place, no problem. All you just need to do is to come and meet this f and put what? 0.2. If it is 3 decimal place, you put 0.3, and by the time you run it, it's still going to give you the answer in 3 decimal place, as you can see here. So if it is in 2 decimal place, you say 0.2, and by the time you run it, to give you answer in 2 decimal place, it will approximate it for you to 2 decimal place. So I believe you've understood the whole thing now, the way it goes. So that is it. See, Mr. Ima is 60 years old and has $50.25 million in his account. Perfect. So you use this thing. If I want this thing, this 60 that is here, if I want it to appear in 2 decimal place, what I will do is that I will convert it to floats. So instead of using a D here, I will put an F there, and I will now say 0.3, maybe 3 decimal place. The guy is going to write 60.000 for me by the time I run it, which means I have just succeeded in converting the integer. I've succeeded in converting the integer to a floating point number just by calling it a float and indicating the number of decimal places it should be. You understand? If I did not indicate the number of decimal place, I just call it a float. Although I know it's an integer, but I casted it to become a float in the description. You understand? If I do that, no problem. If I do that now, it will run and give me a float in the way floats are represented normally with 6 zeros. You understand? So, but if I want the float to come out the way it should come out, I must indicate the number of decimal places that I want, and so that's that as per that. And if I don't want any decimal place, no problem. I can just put .f. If I don't want anything, okay, let's see. Is it? I think it's point. Let me run this first and see. .f, no decimal place. You can see that's 60, which means I don't want any decimal place. I want it to be nearest whole number. You put .f, nearest whole number, .f. But if I want it in 1 decimal place, I say 0.1f, and then by the time I run it, then I'm going to get 60.0. So all that is just there is you should know what you are doing, and you can manipulate things the way you want and get the result that you want. I am not going to be there beside you when you are going to be writing a code for a big company. So one thing is for me to teach you, another thing is for you to now be able to use your initiative to derive anything you desire from your mind with what I have taught you. You understand? And then in order to help your initiative, it is very much advised that you should always practice and experiment. Mr. Ima has told you that when you put point something something here, it will give you something something. You say no problem. By the time you get home on your own, you just try experimenting some things that, okay, what if I do this? What if I change this one? What if I try to do this one? What is going to happen? That is how I learned. That was how I got to know everything I knew that I'm teaching you now. I knew many of them through experimentation. The textbook is not going to tell you everything in the whole world. The textbook will just tell you what it has to tell you. The remaining one is up to you, for you to use your initiative to achieve anything you want to achieve. You understand it now? So that is how it goes. You use what you have been taught to. You now explore more things or experiment more things to get more results on your own. You understand it now? So that's that as per that. So you have it like that, but ideally you put it D. Now, the question you should be asking me is that what if I change it to $s, percentage s? Is Python going to convert this age to a string? You understand? Yes, in as much as numbers can change to string, like the example I showed you earlier, a situation where number 2, I converted number 2 to a string. You understand? It still worked. If you run it now, it will still give you the result without complaining, because number can be changed to string, but it is strings that cannot be changed to numbers. So let me return this one to percentage d. What if this and I want to change it to d, which is an integer? Oh, falalu again. You understand? Excuse me, please let me mute.
I, I mute myself, sir.
Please mute it. Just press that speaker
I,
button.
I'm, I,
If you
I mute
if you
it.
mute yourself, I will not be able to hear you. Click on that thing that looks like microphone, and click on it so that it will cross.
Okay.
One thing like microphone, just press a hand. That's it. You have muted yourself now. If you press that thing again now, I will begin to hear you. So now I cannot hear you again now. It's okay. So that's how it should be. All right. So Mr. Iman is 60 years old, and I asked blah 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 blah. Okay, well, okay. Yeah, I was here. So by the time you run it, you are going to have a complaint from Python. You know why? It says percentage d format is a number. It's a number. It says a number is required, not a string. That is, if you want to use percentage d, percentage d is an integer. So therefore, it is a number that is required to follow it. A number that is required to follow it, not a string. That is what Python is telling you here. That when you use percentage d is expected to be representing integer. So therefore, it's a number that should be the variable that follows it, not a string. So that is what happens. So if you put percentage d here now, Python will be expecting that this name, which is supposed to correlate with it, is supposed to be an integer or a number at least. But now it is seeing it as d. You understand it now? So let's return everything to normal. You can change a number to a string, but you cannot change strings to a number. Then let me experiment something again. You know, this one is a float. What if I change it? What if I change it to string, and I put d there? That is this amount. What is going to happen when I run the program? You see, I have been able to cast I casted the what is it called, the floating point number, the decimal number. I casted it into an integer, which means I converted it to an integer just by telling Python that it is integer that you should look out for. So Python says no problem. It goes there and it finds a float, and what it just does is that it will cut off the decimal part and keep only the whole number, which is 50. You understand? So one way or the other, we have done typecasting, because typecasting is supposed to be a topic on its own, which I was supposed to teach you before this one, but now I've taught you anyway. So typecasting simply means converting one data type to another data type. I'm still going to teach you officially. That is going to be part of the next class. I'll teach you officially how to deliberately cast a type into another type. This one happens along the line of string formatting, but if you want it to happen for real, like okay, in another condition, not in a condition of string formatting, then there is a way you do it. Okay, so I'm going to explain that to you in another class. Okay, so that's that as per that. So, but from what you have learned here so far, I believe you've understood the position of the placeholder. I'm not going to explain more than this for now. So the remaining one, you get it in the class. Is that okay? And it's almost 10 o'clock. So let me see.
Yes, sir.
Let me see if I can use the remaining 10 minutes to explain the other methods too. There is another method apart from this method that you have here. Although this does not ask you not to read the notes, there are still some more details that are kept in the notes that I have not mentioned in this class. So I still want you to go back to the notes to study it. You understand? So now if you let me treat another example with you. If you have something like this is the second method. It's called It's called the dot format method. Dot format method. So if you want to use this dot format method, what you do is that you will type all the string just like this, just like the way you did it here. Just like the, okay, can I scroll up? So let's use the dot format method. For the dot format method, I can copy all of this. Just this part. Or everything. And let me paste it here. So this is how you use the dot format method. You can just say Mr. and Mrs. blah blah blah. I say Mr. and Mrs. Mr. blah 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 blah. Everything here like this as it is, the full one. But instead of using percentage, you use everything, connect it to the string dot formats. Dot formats. You understand? That is everything here, just the same way it is. The same way it is. You now use dot formats. Now, when you are using the dot format method, instead of you to use percentage, you are using braces. Braces means curve brackets like this. This is what you are using. Okay, so I'm going to brace everything. I'm going to brace everything. I'm going to brace this one too. Okay. So I'm going to remove all this. Excuse me. It's not needed. All these are not needed. Percentage is not needed in this one. We don't need percentage operator. The only thing we need is the positioning. So you are going to write zero column S. This is 1 column D, and this is 2 column F. Okay. All right. So what you just did here is perfect. You understand? So you can just say I want to correct these parts, points 2, and then you can okay, so you have all of these things here, right? You put dot format. Keep all the strings that you want to work with. Keep everything inside brackets, inside the quotes. Then after the quotes, you write dot formats, and then you keep the variables you want to work with. You keep them inside the tuple. That's how it works. You know this one is percentage, but in this case we have dot formats. And then instead of using percentage, you use the braces for this dot formats. Now this is 0 means first position. You see, in computer programming, positioning counting or positioning starts from 0 in computer programming. Please take notes. In computer programming, counting or positioning starts from 0. If I enter a classroom now and I want to count everybody in the class, I will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But in computer programming, we don't start from 1, we start from 0. So if I want to count the first person now, I say the first person is 0, the second person is 1, the third person is 2. So what I did here is that I only did positioning. I said, okay, Python, let the first position be a string. The variable in the second position be an integer, and the variable in the third position, let it be a float. Then I come into this bracket and I put the string variable, the integer variable, and the float variable. I put them like that, and then I run the program, and it's going to give me the results. In fact, you can put your dollars here too. It will still work, no problem. Do you understand? Like $1 million or whatever, or whatever $1 million. Then you run it. By the time you run it, I don't know why this thing's taking time. Voila, you got the answer. All right. Now, this one is the one that came with the first other one, the percentage one. But this is the one that came with the dot format on. You see that we still got the same results. But the only thing is that this one, I did not format the F. So I'm going to come here to format the F and say 0.2. So formatting the F, 0.2 F, then I run it, it's going to give me the perfect answer. Bingo. You understand? So there are some things I did not explain, but I explained it in the book. So go there. I want you to read. I really want you to read. So I'm just using this to make it easy for you so that by the time you start reading, you will understand easily when you read. You understand? So that as for that. And then the last example. And then, you know, this one, I can scatter it. I can scatter the position. I can do it anyhow. It will still work. In as much as the positioning tallies with the positioning of the values in the tuple. Okay? For instance, if I like, I can say Mr. Okay, let me use another example to make it work. All right, let me use another example. What if I say, okay, what if I say, another thing is that all of these things here, you can still put them inside a variable. Oh. Very possible. You can put everything like this in a variable. You can just say variable message is equal to, then you put all of these things there. It will still work. And then you come to the next line and say print message, and you run the program. It will still work very, very well. It will work very perfectly. Okay? So which means that all of these things, from the beginning of the quotes to the end of the quotes, to the dot formats, even to the top, to the level of the tuple, everything like that, you can put it in a variable. Just equate it to a variable, and then you say print that variable. It will still work. You understand? It will still work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be inside the print statement directly. If you put it in directly, it will still work. Do you understand? So that is that as per that. Please take notes. And then now, let me have this example. Let me say x is equal to Python, and y is equal to JavaScript. Normally, I'm supposed to quote the two of them. So let me quote them, and then I put quote here too. Okay, good. So x is Python, y is JavaScript, and then I now say I want to use this placeholder. Okay, so I may just put it like print, open the brackets, I put the quotes. I can say I love Daddy Gio is about to start preaching now. I love can say I love 0 s. Okay, I love 0s more than 1 s. Okay, you now say dot formats, you open the brackets and you put all these things there. You put x comma y. All right, so what is just going to happen is that I love 0s. You know that x, what is inside this x is what will come and replace what is here, and it is what is inside y They'll come and replace what is here. So what was X is Python and Y is JavaScript. So which means if I run the print statement, I will have something like oh yeah now. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with their server. Okay, yeah. You said I love Python more than JavaScript. You can see that. Now if I want to switch it, okay, I can still say since the two of them are strings, no problem. So I can just say one and I put 0 here and I run it. I will still get the same. I will get it the other way around. Okay, please let me. Sorry. I will get it the other way around, but I want to compare the two answers. So let me go back to this. I'm putting 0 and then this is 1. So copy everything, paste. And this time around, I'm making this one to be 1 while I make this one 0. So if you have it this way and you run it, you are going to have it switched. So this time around, it's saying I love JavaScript more than Python. Do you understand? So all of these things I'm teaching you, you will need them somehow, somewhere, in one aspect of programming or the other. You may need it in game programming. You will need them somewhere, somehow. It's until you start to program things for real life situation. That is when you know the importance of these basics that I'm teaching you. You understand? So they are all applicable. Every single thing I teach you here, every single thing is applicable somewhere or the other. So it is important that you get hold on this foundation extremely well because you are going to need them somewhere, somehow. You understand? So that is that as per that. You see this switching I did? This switching of a thing, maybe that is the only thing you need to do to solve a very big problem in a contract that you are given. Maybe you just only need to learn to understand the fact that this thing can be switched using this method, and then that is all. That is what you use to solve a particular problem, and the problem is over. Do you understand it now? So, but Python or any other programming language requires you to think a lot, and it also requires you to practice. You need to practice a lot. The more you practice and the more you experiment, the more you discover new things. And all of those discovery, they are going to help you in your profession by the time you start to code professionally. That is what made me to be who I am, and I'm still learning. I've not even stopped. I practice a lot, and I don't have much time for practice because of my commitments. I'm a family man, and I also have many other things I'm doing at the same time, work and all that. But you guys, majority of you are not yet married. You have all the opportunity. Please make use of all the chance that you have now, that you are not so committed to other things except yourself. Use the time now to practice and practice a lot. You are going to benefit it. Trust me. You are going to reap it a lot. Practice, experiment, go on Google, make research, ask
Me,
questions, do all of those things.
me, I'm married though.
Eh, don't worry, that you carry your cross now like me. You understand? So that is just that as for that. Thank you, Austin. Dinner is served. So thank you. So I'm in class. Bye bye. So all right. So that's that as for that. So um um what else again? See now this guy has made me lose track, my brother. Okay, okay. Now if you the third method I want to teach you, every other information regarding this you can read it in your notes. I don't want to take much time. I did not plan to spend this much time at all. I just want to spend 1 hour with you and get out, but now I've spent 2 hours already. It's fine, it's all good. It's all good. um Now the third method, is called the f string, method. The f string method. The f string method. So this f string, what's wrong with this one? I will send you a message now. Be careful. Method. So the F string method. Now, in this F string method, what you just do is that you are going to just insert everything you need in a long text. You are not even dot formatting anything. You are not percentaging anything. You understand? But you are bracing many things. You are bracing. You are making use of braces. Okay. So what you do in this method is that okay. Let me just explain the method with an example. Um, Using this age 60 name blah 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 blah. Okay. What you do for F string is that you are going to put F. You can just say print. You say print. You now put F like this, just letter F alone, and you open your quotes. By the time you open your quotes, put everything you want to format inside. But every single variable that is there, you put the variable inside braces. You understand? So you can say I love I love you put variable inside a brace, put it like this, and you put X there, okay, and you say more than I love X more than, you open a brace again and you put Y inside it. I love X more than Y. But then you cover the last one with also, you open a quote. So that's it. See what I just did here? This is called the F string. What it just does is that put the variable directly inside. Just put the variable directly inside the string, the old string that you're trying to format. Put the variable inside of it. But the variable will be kept inside braces, just for Python to understand that this thing is a variable. So by the time you run the program, you are going to get the results. I love Python more than JavaScript because X is Python, Y is JavaScript, as you can see. You understand? So that's how it goes. If you want to switch, you switch it manually. Okay? You can say you put Y here and you put X here, no problem. You run it, you're still going to get the answer. I love JavaScript more than Python. You understand? So that is that as per that. This type is called the F string. I think the limitation of this type is that you cannot format this thing, or the output the way you would have done with this one, like those 2F and all that. Okay, but then fine. What if you could format it? I'm giving you an assignment. Try to use the F string in a way that the floating variable that it carries can be formatted to 2 decimal place, 1 decimal place, or anyhow. So I'm giving you that as a task. Okay, so that is the end of today's class. Any question before I proceed? Any question before I proceed?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I installed this Python on my system, but I didn't understand. I cannot be able to run it.
Okay, because of problems
Mm,
with installation, this and that, I have asked you
mm,
guys to be using the online version. If you want to use the
okay,
online version, go to online-python.com. Online. Let me put it in the message.
okay,
Go to online, like www.online-python.com. When you click on that thing, it will bring you to this page, this platform that we are using. So
okay,
when you open it for the first time, it's going to put some things on the screen. Just erase everything, highlight everything, and erase it, and then start your own code.
okay,
If you still have any issue using it, just reach out to me, and I will explain further.
okay. So you cannot use the Python
You can use it.
by
You can use it. You
installing.
can use it very well.
I'm
You have,
okay. Mm, I mean by installing the CD on the system.
of course, you can. I've not just taught you to that place. Just be using this
Okay.
one for the meantime. When it is time for the
Okay.
installation part, or
Okay.
maybe you call me later, probably on Sunday, because I'm not going to be around throughout tomorrow, but I'll be around on
Okay.
Sunday. You call me on Sunday evening,
Okay.
one-on-one call, then I will explain to you how to install it and how to go about it. When you
Okay.
finish installing it, maybe we'll do this kind of video call so you see my screen and then how I'm doing everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
But
So
for
there won't be
now,
class tomorrow.
you can stick to the online version.
Okay.
There won't be class tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Mm.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Then the basic things to use on the Python. Basic that if you want to memorize it, if you want to cram it, you cram it. The basic things that you need to know, you know.
If you have been following my class from day one,
Mm.
you have answer to the question that you're asking me. And all of these things that we are still learning till now,
Okay.
it is still part of the basics. I told you that
Okay.
for the first 5 or 7 days of the class, we are going to be learning the basics of Python. That's what I said.
Basic.
That's what I said
Mm.
on Monday. But you were not in the class on Monday. You understand? Everything that we are
Mm,
doing
I
now,
think as I was.
okay, everything
Mm.
that we are doing from now till
Okay.
for another 1 week or so, or 2 weeks, is going to be the basics of Python, all the important things you must know in Python. I'm picking them
Okay. Okay.
one by one every day. There are some things I treated on Monday. There are some things I treated on Wednesday. There are some things I'm treating now. All of these things, you take note of them. They are key things that you are going to use a lot when you start coding professionally in
Okay.
Python. You don't need to even cram
Okay.
anything. Just be following the class like that. Gradually and gradually, you will
Okay.
get it. You don't even need to cram anything at all.
Okay.
Every single thing I am teaching
Okay.
you, hold on to it.
Okay.
Experiment with them. Do assignments that I give
Okay.
you. Try your best. If you don't get it properly, you keep trying or you ask question. You understand it now?
Okay.
So that's that.
Okay. Yeah, that's all.
Any other question before we leave? Right, in the absence of no question, so um, I will just tell you all good night. Have a lovely night's rest. Try to practice more on what you read, what you did this night, and also learn more from the material that I sent to you. Try to do the assignments that follows the material. I'm also going to send more assignments to you later on. Maybe tonight or probably tomorrow, I'll send more assignments to the WhatsApp group. So play with them and enjoy yourself. So take care and have a lovely night. Bye.